Hey guys, Joe here, and today is the first video in the series that I promised where I'm going to focus and do tech and budget build PCs and things of that nature. And I want to start by going over a term that you're probably going to hear a few times on this channel, and that word is bottlenecking. I almost said bootlegging. Bottlenecking. Bottlenecking occurs when one component or multiple components in a system are not able to function at full efficiency because of another component. The most common example is when the GPU or the CPU is bottlenecked by the other. For example, a CPU is not fast enough to give enough instructions to fully utilize a GPU, or a GPU is not good enough to work with the CPU in case of, well, I've done it before. And that was in this video where I put a GT 1030 on top of a X99 6800K that was also equipped with 32 gigs of RAM and an NVMe SSD, and obviously the bottleneck in that system was the graphics card. Now I've also done the exact inverse of that, where I put a GTX 970 G1 Gaming Edition overclocked 4GB card on a i3 2120 system, which was the basis of Project Hamilton, which is sitting over there. I did that because I wanted to see how much the graphics card can compensate for a bad CPU, or how much a good CPU can compensate for a bad graphics card. I wasn't really surprised. It was about what I expected. But again, you're going to see that happen a lot on this channel as I find things to build, because I may find a i7 4790K for a good price and have to pair it with a GTX 460 for some reason, just to screw around usually. Before I keep going, let me give you a visual example of what bottlenecking actually looks like. And this is a real world example, and I think it will put it into clear perspective. So here we are in my kitchen, and I'm holding two vessels because these have the exact same amount of fluid in them. And what I'm going to attempt to do is give you a visual representation of bottlenecking. There's a reason why it's called bottlenecking, and we will see that. Just using water, and as you can see, this container is full, and if I flip it over, so that came out as fast as I poured it because of the size of the opening. It was not restricting the flow. If that was information, it would have went from one side to the other instantaneously. Again, this is the exact same amount of fluid that was in that jar, but if I flip this one over, you can see that took much longer for the simple reason that it was unable to get all of that fluid through that small of an opening as fast. So that is literally bottlenecking. For those that might have thought they understood it but didn't quite, that is exactly what bottlenecking does. So when your CPU is not able to keep up with your GPU, or your GPU is not able to keep up with your CPU, you're going to run into that situation. Now, the system that's sitting here right now, this is Project Jackson. What I'm doing is I'm naming systems after the original amount spent on the motherboard brain combination. That's why Project Hamilton is named that, because I originally started with a $10 Dell 990. This was a $20 Dell 7010. This system is actually pretty well balanced even with a 580, because it is a water-cooled hydrocopper for the Win 2. It boosts under overclocking to about 1 gigahertz with about 2300 on the memory, which is, you know, obviously by today's standards pretty damn low, but by GTX 580 standards is pretty solid. The i5 is on a locked proprietary board that has absolutely no UEFI, no tweaking, no overclocking ability, which is kind of sad, but it's understandable because most people, when they buy a pre-built, don't do anything with it. And the RAM, of course, is the 16 gigs of Corsair Vengeance DDR3 that I've bounced around from system to system over time. So even though I have exotic cooling solutions on here, it's still just an i5 with a GTX 580. However, because it's balanced well, I can maximize what that card can do and what the system's capable of. In Grand Theft Auto 5, on this setup, I can get about 90 frames per second in GTA 5. In Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, again, about 100 FPS. CSGO, 240 FPS. So this system being balanced means that there's no real stuttering, there's no real issues, it doesn't overheat, all the things that you want in a balanced system. Now I could, when I get my next 1080 Ti, slap a 1080 Ti on this i5 system, but it would be completely pointless because it would completely bottleneck that GPU. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of information so that when you're building a system, you understand why it's important to match your components, and also gives you the confidence to go out and build a system yourself, because I don't want to tell you guys it's hard to build a system. Building a computer is not hard. Anybody can do it. But it's choosing the right parts, putting them together right, and then finding the best results with what you have. Because there are channels out there that are very good at optimizing, and they deal in the budget building, which is what I enjoy. You've got Tech Yesity and Random Gaming in HD and Budget Build Official. These are the guys that like to find the cheapest possible components and wring the snot out of them to get the best possible performance. And that's what I want to do in the future as well. So if you like this new format, don't know what that was. If you like the new format, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. Feel free to subscribe if you aren't already. I'd love to have you along with me. You can click on the links for Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. And you can possibly become a Patreon if you want to help the channel grow, especially with demonetization happening tomorrow. And yeah, that's about it. So until the next video, when I'm reviewing a couple of video cards, I'll talk to you later.